We begin with a question. What is light? Is it something we see, or is it something through which we see? And if light allows us to see everything else, can we imagine our life without light? Then what does it mean when the Quran says, God is the light of the heavens and the earth? What does it mean? God is the light of the heavens and the earth. And that's not only in the Quran, but we see it also in other scripture. Now, I would like to explore this concept of light and the metaphors of light and the similes used so we can see and explore the concept of light and talk about it today. The verse in the Quran, verse 35 in chapter 24. Chapter 24 is called Surah An-Nur. And An-Nur here, it means the light. And the light, Nur, it resonates with the French word or or d'or, like Dora, which means gold. Why? Because the gold is a shiny metal that never loses its shine. Why? Because it reflects light. So what happens if there is no light? Then the whatever is emitting or reflecting light would be what in French, noir. So noir does not mean black. It means literally the lack of light. So the lack of light is noir, and or is the metal, the gold that reflects and shines because it reflects light. Now we understand nur and versus noir, right? Versus or dora, right? In Spanish. All right, now that's some semantic resonance. So just engage you in understanding the word. And we see Nora, the name Nora, right? And that's feminine. And Noor is, of course, unisex, right? Noor is a name of a male or a female. And again, we would see why, because it says God is the light. Allahu what? Noor. Allahu nuru samawati. Shamayim, right, in Hebrew, samawat. You flip the S into sh sound. So shamayim, samawat. In Arabic, the plural is alif ta'at. And I'm shamayim in Hebrew. Wal ard. And ard in German, very easy, clear. Ard is what? Earth. And earth is ard, right? So we just add the H to the T. So al-ard becomes earth. And you can also think of the word art, which is the magnificence of our beautiful planet Earth, to show the magnificence, capability of God Almighty. All right, now let's start with the Quran, chapter 24. What is chapter 24? An-Nur. Al means the, An-Nur means light and enlightenment. So now let's see the meaning of the chapter 24. It's only one verse I'm going to use, and we're going to reflect and explore the concept of light. Let me read it to you first in Arabic, and then I'll give you the English translation, and then we will dig deeper into the analysis of the verse. And this way you can apply how to use simile, metaphors, analysis, and in a critical way and analytical way rather than just summary. All right. So it says here, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. In the name of Allah, Bismillah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Now, the translation. I wanted you to hear the Arabic, okay? And to learn Arabic as well. Nur It means light, ala, upon, light, nur. Nurun ala nur. Do you hear it? Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Earth, art, Arabic, art, earth, erd in German. The example of his light is like a niche. You know, a niche in the wall within which is a lamp. So a niche within which is a lamp. The lamp is within glass, crystal glass, beautiful glass, not like any glass. It's almost like diamond glass. The glass, it's going to describe the glass as if it were a shining star. That's even more than diamond. So the glass is not just any glass. It's not a glass like the glass behind me. It's a glass that's, when you look at it, as if it is, were a shining star. Allah is the light of heavens and the earth. The example of his light is like a niche within which is a lamp. And the lamp is within glass. The glass, as if it were a shining star. So the glass, as if it were a shining star, lit from a blessed olive tree. So it's a shining star and it's lit from a blessed olive tree. It's not lit by fire or anything else, but lit from a blessed olive tree, neither of the east nor of the west. So the blessed tree, neither of the east nor of the west, whose oil would almost glow even if untouched by fire. Allah guides to his light whom he wills, and Allah presents examples for humanity. And Allah is all-knowing, knowing of all things. Qur'an chapter Al-Nur 24, verse 35. Now, I would like to first discuss the principle, right? Not of a literal simile of God. I want to make that clear. I'm discussing a principle, but not a literal simile of God. Why? I will explain later. Now, before the literary analysis, we establish a theological foundation here. The Quran is not saying that God is physically light here, because the Quran states clearly in another chapter, chapter 42, verse 11, that there is nothing like him. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There is nothing like God. Okay? Of course, it says that also at the beginning of the Bible, right? It says there is nothing like him, negating anything to be like him, and no one like him, negating any animate entity as well as any inanimate entity. So there is nothing like him. 42:11. So what's happening here? Now let's discover and explore. This is not a comparison of God himself. It's a description of the effect of his light, his guidance, his illumination. Now, the literary structure that we're going to explore now is a layered simile. It's not just a simile. Now, this is a layered simile. It's an extended metaphor for any students who would use metaphor as a literary device. This is an extended one. The verse begins with the example of his light, مثل نوره. This signals immediately that we are entering a constructed parallel, which is what we call it in Arabic tamthil. Something is like a simile. Tamthil, simile. Actually, do you hear it? Tamthil, simile, masala, simala. It's kind of like the like when you say ask and axe, right? Yes. So it's a simile. We are entering this as a multi-layered extended metaphor as well. Tamsil is does not mean it's an extended metaphor. What does it mean? A multi-layered metaphor, not just one metaphor, but this is a multi-layered metaphor, an extended metaphor that's a different style of writing. It's unmatched, actually, and we will see it now. Here's the first layer. The first layer is what? The light of God, his illumination, his light, his guidance, right? Is what? Like a niche within which is a lamp. So it's a niche in the wall within which there is a lamp. And the lamp here is mishka, niche, mishka, niche, mishkat. Mishkat becomes niche. It's a recess in the wall that concentrates light, okay? And the function here is what? Containment, protection, plus focus. Containment, protection, and focus. Now, if I'm trying to find some literary insight and analysis here, light is not scattered. This is what I don't want you to, when you describe something or when you try to explain something, do not just make it summary. Oh, there is a niche in the wall, and in the wall, there is a lamp in that niche. No, I want you to say the niche there is for containment, for protection, and for focus. Okay, so that's what we mean. The light is not scattered, it's intentionally, purposefully placed and intensified. That's what I mean when I ask you to provide analysis. Use the word, look at the word choice, and tell me about all the implications and all the interpretations and what does it mean. So here the light is not scattered, it is intentionally placed because there is a niche for it in the wall, and intensified. Okay, now guidance, what is the implication of this in analysis? I would say, okay, the light is a symbol of guidance, illumination, and guidance is not random act. Guidance, it's focused, it's directed, and it's purposeful. This is the analysis versus summary. Okay, so these are the implications. So when we ask about the implication, you understand what implications mean. Guidance is not random, it's focused. Why guidance? Because we said that the light is it means what? It refers to guidance, and guidance is not really scattered, it's focused, it's directed, and it's purposeful, and it's also protected. Yes. And it's not just given, it's to be sought for. And I'm going to explain why here. In layer 2, it says the lamp is within a glass, okay? Now, the light becomes protected because it's within the glass. And what does the glass do? When we say a lamp, there is a glass. The glass is for protection and also refined. And not just refined, but in this context, in the Quranic Arabic, the light is elevated and it's elevating. So it's a guiding, protecting, and refining and elevating light. This is what I mean by interpretations and implications of word choice. When I say dig deeper and take every analytical term and use it to explain the concept that you're engaging with. The lamp is a source of illumination, of course. That's the second layer. So the second layer is the lamp, which is misbah. And if you know a little bit of Arabic, you know sabah. Sabah means what? Morning. But also, another word for daw or day, right? Day becomes day, daylight. See? So day means it means light. And when we say day in or dias in Spanish or day in English, we say what? Day in Arabic, and day in Arabic or daw, it becomes light. So when we say daylight, we're actually saying light, light. Okay? So now you know another word in Arabic, day, which is light. We use it for day. All right. And by the way, in French, what do we use for day? Jour. We say bonjour, right? Bonjour. Bonjour means good morning, but jour actually in the French language, sometimes the N becomes nasal, so you don't hear it. So you can say substitution here happens. So the N instead of nour becomes jour. Nour becomes jour, right? So the absence of light is noir, and light means jour or nour in Arabic. Now you know all the words, whether you speak in English or French. All right, now the third layer is zujaja, which is the glass. The glass. The glass as if it were a radiant star. What type of glass that would look like a radiant star? I don't understand. This is a metaphor. So the glass looks, it's a radiant star, radiant. Why? What does it mean? كأنها, it means as if. That's a simile. And then metaphor is a brilliant, radiant star. That's a metaphor. All right, what are the implications of a radiant star? And why is it radiant? If you see a radiant star, what happens? We automatically look instantly. Look, and we don't want to even let go. We want to keep looking because we're fascinated, right? So that's the light. That's the type of glass that contains the guidance, the illuminating light of God. Then now we ask ourselves, why a radiant star? This is critical. Okay, what is the critical analysis here? If I say star, then it's visible for all. Now, I'm doing analysis now, not summary. The star is above all, right? It's visible to all. That's number one implication. The second is what? It's elevated. It's elevated. It's beautiful. It's breathtaking, right? It's attracting. It's very attractive. So it attracts our attention. And it's a source of serenity and beauty, not just attention. And it's elevated above all. And here is the strongest implication. It's a source of guidance. Again, it's a source of guidance, navigation, direction. You see, you're not lost. Like what? Like the North Star, okay? It guides the travelers. It does not belong to one people. It belongs to everybody. It belongs to all people. It's visible to all humanity. Yes? Wonderful. So when I say implications, analysis, I'm just giving you how to do this. So the metaphor here implies, and that's the word you could use, this metaphor implies such and such and such. Divine guidance is not restricted to specific people, not hidden from anybody. Divine guidance is universal, 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 visible, and above all, accessible. Again, it's universal. Divine guidance is universal, visible, accessible, if conditioned here, if one looks. If you don't look, you won't see it. Divine guidance is universal, visible, and accessible if one only looks. Layer 4, the source of this radiant star, brilliant star. It says here, يوقد من شجرة مباركة. Baraka, that's a baraka, is an Arabic word, Hebrew word, right? It means blessed. It's a blessed. So the olive tree here, it's lit from a blessed olive tree. Now, what is this? Is this a metaphor? It's lit from a blessed olive tree. Is this a metaphor? There is symbolism here. Symbolism. What do we mean by symbolism? The olive tree is a symbol of peace. That's number one. Inner peace as well. Continuity. Blessing. Okay? Because it says clearly Mubarakah, which is what? Intrinsically blessed. Intrinsically blessed. The blessing coming from within. Okay? And then here, it makes it universal again, and it makes it accessible to everyone and every people. It says clearly in the Quran, neither east nor west, that blessed tree does not belong to the east nor the west. La sharqiyya, and it negates the east first. Why? Because all religions were revealed in the east, right? So, logically, you would negate east first. So neither east nor west. Again, this is profound. Why is it profound? Not geographically limited to the east or the west. Geographically, it's not limited. Not culturally confined. It's not confined to any culture. Not ideologically owned. So not any specific ideology. It does not belong to any specific ideology, culture, or geography. Divine light transcends all boundaries. It penetrates, it shines. You can't hide it. So divine light transcends all boundaries, geographical boundaries, cultural boundaries, ideological boundaries, right? Now, the oil that almost shines by itself. What? The olive oil. You look at the olive oil, right? It looks shiny, it looks golden, right? It says here in the Quran, whose oil, that blessed tree, oil tree, the symbol, right? We used symbolism. Now we understand symbolism, simile, metaphors, and how can you use them in your analytical or in showing the implications and use it in analysis rather than just summary. So it says here that the olive tree, whose oil would almost glow even without fire. It would almost glow, ignites, glowing even without fire. And it's cool, cold pressed, right? Extra virgin olive oil, blessed, all right? So light is inherent. Light is inherent in it's latent in creation. Now I want to take this to a philosophical insight. Again, this is analysis, right? We said the analysis, give me your insightful ideas. Teach me something new. That's basically how does this verse or this particular reading that you read resonate with you? All right. So even without ignition, this light, the capacity for light exists. Without fire, how can be fire and the light of God? They cannot be together, right? Does not need fire. God's light is cool, soothing. It's tranquil, right? There's no fire here whatsoever. So the capacity, look at the contrast and the irony. So it ignites without being even untouched, without fire. Okay, it's glowing even without fire. So you could see here why this expression, right? Human beings are created with innate receptivity to truth. Again, human beings, every single one of us, is created with innate receptivity for or to truth. So I have an innate receptivity to truth. You have an innate receptivity to truth. Everyone has an innate receptivity to truth, which is what the fitra. What do we call fitra? Fitra, fitra. It means nature of humankind. Okay, guidance is not foreign to us. It's awakening. It's awakening from within us. All right. Now let's go to the climax here. Now let's rise. It says what? Remember what I taught you at the beginning of this when we started at the in the verse? It says what? Nurun ala nur. Nurun ala nur. What does it mean? Nur ala nur. Light upon light. This is not repetition, by the way. This is not repetition. This is this is to just intensify, not because when you have an intensified light, remember what we said before? This is an intensified light. So this is not repetition. This is intensification. This is intensification. And this is the implication of it is for intensification, not for repetition. And that's what I would call analysis. Now, the classical tafsir, what is fassara and mufassir? Here's a word. Fassara is to interpret the knowledge, right? And mufassir is what? Mufassir, mufassir, mufassir. Does it ring a bell? Mufassir is the interpreter of knowledge. What about the word professor? Fassara is the root word for professor, which is interpreter of knowledge. It's an Arabic word and it's a Quranic word that means tafsir, and tafsir means interpretation. Fassara is the verb. And mufassir, mo means the person who does tafsir or interpretation. As a morphology, it's just a morpheme. When you add the mo, it has a function. It makes it the one who does the action, right? So fassara is to interpret knowledge, and mufassir is the interpreter of knowledge or professor. Fassara, professor. Okay. So we know now how does the word professor resonates with and what does it connect with in the Quran. Now here, the classical tafsir insight, at-Tabari, one of the mufassirin or one of the professors, right? Scholars, light of revelation. He refers here to nurun ala nur, light upon light. Intensification of light is not for repetition, but it refers to the light of revelation, the light of faith, right? The light of faith. And Al-Ghazali, another mufassir or professor or scholar, he says the sensory light plus intellectual light, which is enlightenment, illumination, insight, and the divine plus divine light. So here, what do we mean by intensification? At-Tabari says the intensification of the light of revelation upon the light of faith. Okay, so that's one layer of light upon another layer of light. Al-Ghazali, another mufassir or professor, scholar, he says it's the sensory light plus intellectual light plus divine light. Sensory light, you have insight and you have sight and insight, and then the intellectual light, right? And then another layer, third layer, which is what? Divine light. So you could see here intensification of light. Layers of illumination, that's what I want you to do when you do analysis. You tell me there are layers of intensification, layers of illumination here, physical, intellectual, spiritual. and then you can explain it and you can talk about it. All right, now guidance. Guidance. The verse ends with guidance. It says what? يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء. يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء. What does it mean? Allah guides to his light. He wills. Oh, now if I'm not chosen and if not guided, okay, then it's not my fault. That's not it. That's not it. That's not the interpretation of this verse. It says what God guides to his light, whom he wills. Of course, nothing happens without the will of God, right? Even the verb will in English, right? It happens by God's will, which is in Arabic, we say inshallah, or ojalá in Spanish, right? If God wills it, right? Okay, now, inshallah, we see it in shall and will, right? It's God's will. We say it in English. We say God willing, right? That's what it means, God willing, because nothing happens without God's will. We could do so many things and it does not actualize. Why? God doesn't will it. So at the end, God's will is what makes things happen. However, we have to do our effort, we have to do our best, and then trust that God will do what's the best for us. That's why we say the expression God willing. Okay? All right, now, supporting verses. Allah guides to his light whom he wills. I want to get deeper here. He here refers to God, of course, but it also implies something else. Now, let's see. God says in the Quran, in another verse, Quran chapter 2, verse 256, there is no compulsion in religion. La ikraha fi din. Deen means religion, right? What does that mean? It means that every human has a free will, and God gave you the free will to empower you. He could have compelled you to believe, but he wants you to be empowered. He wants you to come lovingly, to come to him and to synchronize one's will with God's will. And then here, God's would actually empower your will and will make it happen. Will make it happen. Do you see? Will by God's will. All right, so it says another verse in the Quran. I'm giving you textual evidence now. So if you want to make an argument and you want to support it, you have to find textual evidence. So I'm saying here, it says God guides to his light whom he wills, but also there is a counter argument for this that says what there is no compulsion in religion. It's not a counter argument in the sense that you would think it's opposing the previous verse that God guides to his light whom he wills, but it says God gives you the empowerment to not to be compelled to believe in him, and he sustains your life to the last moment of your life. And if you choose not to believe, that's fine. It does not take away anything from God, right? We are the ones who need him, and it's not equal here. There's no comparison between God and human. So even the prophet cannot compel. God spoke to the prophet, and he speaks to the prophet, and also he teaches each one of us. It says what? You do not guide whom you love. That's very hard, by the way. You cannot guide whom you love. Again, you cannot guide whom you love, but Allah, God, guides whom he wills. And that's chapter 28, Surah Al-Qasas, which means the stories, verse 56. And also, there's another verse in the Quran that says, if God willed, all would be guided. وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَآمَنَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ كُلُّهُمْ جَمِيعًا. Meaning, if your Lord had willed, all on earth would have believed. Okay, that's the Quran, chapter 10, verse 99. And then here, I want you to see that you are given a free will. You are given freedom of choice. And God still, out of his unconditional love, provides for every believing person and every disbelieving person. And this shows what? The human responsibility. Now we're doing some analysis, right? The human responsibility. God does not change a people until they change what is within themselves. Okay? So that's the human responsibility. So if I talk about this, what is my interpretation of this? Now I've given you different verses. Each one of them, one shows that God guides whom he wills, but there is no compulsion in religion. And then you cannot guide whom you love, but God guides whom he wills, right? Whom he wills, what God wills. And also, if a person wills to be guided, God will empower this person and guide him like no one else, and no one guides except God Almighty. Okay? And then it says also that God has the power. All power belongs to God. If your Lord had willed, all on earth would have believed. But God gave us the free will to empower us. And it shows that we are responsible. And that's a human responsibility that God even says clearly in the Quran in chapter 13, verse 11, God does not change a people until they change what is within themselves. So it shows here the human responsibility. Now, let's interpret and try to synthesize all this together, right? So interpretive synthesis here, what do we mean? That we put all the verses together and come up with a conclusion to put all verses in conversation with each other, okay? So we see here, because the entire parallel leads to this conclusion. What is it? Light exists. It's offered, the light of guidance. It's universal. It's accessible to everyone, right? It's guiding to everyone. It's visible to everyone. It's not limited to a particular geographical region or people or ideology or um, east or west. It's universal, right? So it's offered and it's universal, the light of guidance. But reception depends on the human heart. Again, the light of guidance it exists everywhere. It's offered, it's accessible, it's universal, but reception depends on you and me. Reception depends on the human heart, whether you have a receptive heart, open-hearted, or concealed heart. Now, I want to leave you with a final insight. The core idea here that I'm trying to share with you is guidance is not forced. Just like love. Can you force love? It becomes meaningless, right? Can you force a gift? It loses its meaning, right? It must be received. If you like any gift, guidance is like a gift. So guidance is not forced. Again, guidance is not forced. It's a gift. It's a gift of God, right? Just like the first name of Adam's son, Abel. Abel was supposed to be what? Hebel, which is Heb, which means grant or gift, El of God. So the first son of Adam, his name was the gift of God. We don't pronounce the H in English, so we make it Abel, but it's supposed to be what? Habil. Habil. Hab means to grant or to gift. Priceless gift. And il means what? Of God. So the gift of God. Guidance is not forced. Guidance is a gift. It's a gift. And like any gift, it must be received. It must be valued. It must be chosen. It must be appreciated, right? So now the light of God is not hidden. What's rare is the heart that is willing to receive it. The light of God is not hidden. What's rare is the heart that's willing to receive it. And with this, I end up, and I hope now that that was very insightful to you, and thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you.